Once upon a time, wore pajamas and lived life slow, where laws were stern and justice stood, and people were behaving like they are too good. There lived a little boy who was misled by another little boy, and this is what he said: "Me and you, man, we're gonna make some cash, robbing old folks and making the dash." Boom! Classic slick Rick the Ruler. Hello, America. Hello, world. Hello, you. It is your new best friend, Cashmere, California, and this is the Pod is Good podcast, aka the Notorious PIG, episode 49. Pod is good, and all the time. If you know, you know. If you don't keep listening, you will learn. Today, I brought back everyone's favorite little cousin. Oh my goodness, we got her back once again. This has been my year. This has been my month. I got her back again. We're gonna talk business. I know y'all love when young Nikki come through, dropping the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And she's a perfectionist about it. You know what I'm saying? She's very specific with what she says. And she came to me and was like, "Yo, cuz I want to give him a little more." I felt like we went into a spot, we talked about it, but we didn't talk about it. She wanted to come back and talk about it. So of course, we opened the studio door. So let's get it going. Cuzzo, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. I'm
2
better
days
now.
in a row.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I don't even play the numbers, and somehow I
I
still
know,
won.
I know. I was doing some reflection. Every time I do one of these
Mhm.
podcasts or speaking, I just want to do some reflection and be like, did the message come through like I wanted it to come through? And I was
Yes.
doing some reflection last night. I was like, no, not for like sometimes it did, but I don't know. I feel like I misspoke on some of the things. And so I'm like, take that one down. Let's run it back.
Let's run it back. Well, that's the beauty of this platform that we're on, is that we can jump on at any given time. We can somewhat erase the past by clarifying. You know what I
Clarify.
mean? By putting forth new information to say, okay, hey, just like me, I'm gonna be honest. My team got slaughtered yesterday. The
Mm.
Dallas Cowboys got slaughtered, and so
Well,
for somebody like me, I'm go ahead.
that's your team, I would feel like you would be used to the heartbreak and disappointment that comes with being a Dallas Cowboys fan.
I'll be
Okay.
honest, you got a point. You got a point. It is part of the fans' lifestyle. It's a few of us out there. The Steelers, they gotta live that life. A few of us, we just kind of used to the disappointment year for year. I think what makes it tough is the media. The
Hmm.
media don't pump up the other teams like they pump up our teams. I feel like every sports fan is a little disappointed when their team don't do well.
Yeah.
But the Cowboys, they be pumping that team up like, oh, look at them. Oh, they back. And then the fans are like, they are? Really? Okay. Okay. And then, no,
Yeah.
they're not. They're not.
Mm. Two
They're
tears in a bucket.
not. So even with that, I had to come on tomorrow on the scoreboard show and talk about how I was wrong in my prediction for what was going to happen in this game. So I understand wanting to kind of wish you could turn the clock back a little bit. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I think what we were talking about that you wanted to add some clarity to is you made a great point in saying that working in the corporate world, there is a certain dance, right? There is a certain game that you have to be willing to play. You even made the point to say, hey, if you don't like the game, maybe you want to do something else. You know what I mean? Not every game is for everybody, right? And that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought up the fact that how do you deal with, or how do you advise someone deal with the frustrations, the cultural frustrations of watching people from outside of your culture, right? The more prominent culture that we see in the corporate world,
Mm-hmm.
how you watch them ascend without playing the game.
Yeah.
They don't have to follow the rules that you follow, but day to day, in all of your responses, all of your communications, whether it's an email response, whatever it is, you feel like you're constantly having to play the game, and you still might get overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did, so what would you like to clarify in that scenario?
Yeah. So I think, yesterday in that context, I will say that I stand by what I mean, what I said, in that person is playing the game as well. It's the same game, different tactics, because we are looked at under a microscope, and that unconscious bias that other people have on what we represent and what we bring to the table is still there. It's going to be there. And that's something that, we got to navigate. But I also don't want to minimize the fact that everybody is playing a game as well.
Yeah,
And so that person, they may come from, and I'll say this, the reason why I say that is because COVID happened, and when COVID happened, it leveled a lot of that playing field, especially in corporate America, because now more companies, more than ever, their teams are remote. There is no cultural, this is how we do it in the South. This is, have 50% of your team live somewhere else in the country and has different experiences, different perspective that they're
yeah,
bringing to the table. That levels the playing field, so much so that even in my team, some of my team is not even in the United States, they're in Europe. That adds a different kind of cultural play
yeah,
to it, because I'll say this, one member of my team is Italian. She has a strong accent, but also culturally, she speaks in a way that is very passionate, but it
uh,
can come across as aggressive and argumentative. And that's a cultural difference that she's like feeling like it's a hurdle for her that she's going to have to overcome, because that's a difference within her communication style and how it comes across to other people. So
right.
I say that to say everybody is playing a game to some extent, and COVID being with remote teams and everybody being virtual these days has helped kind of level the playing field and let more stuff is accessible to you. Like now you can just ping, a VP. Before, it wasn't like they could walk in the hallway past your cubicle and you can stop and have a chit chat with them. But because we're all remote, everybody feels a little bit more accessible. Interesting enough, when you think about the physical distance, like people are more further away from each other, but they feel like they can communicate in a different way. And primarily because we're used to communicating a lot on social media. And so you get that internet courage, right? And I'm a
That's
schedule
okay.
a
Yeah,
one-to-one coffee session, and it
yeah,
doesn't feel as much of a lift. And so I say all that to say that there's tactics and a different way that everybody has to approach it. But I don't want to discourage anyone, because the hurdles aren't as tall as they used to be pre-COVID. And so the playing field is a little bit more level now. But there's still obviously still a whole lot of bias out there, still a lot of stuff.
yeah,
But because so much of our work is remote, some of the cultural nuances that come out in our style and our language and the way we speak isn't as prevalent in a virtual situation.
yeah.
And so all you see is the top up from me, and you don't see, how I'm dressing or whatever. I just gotta make sure I got a shirt on. So
Metaverse. It's the original metaverse with no bottom. Like,
yeah.
what's the? I don't know why they even added the bottom. Like this is what we're used to. We
Yeah.
don't know how to have legs right now.
So, in my hair, I have locks.
Yeah.
So, your hair, of some of that cultural stuff, those nuances that we used to worry about,
Mm,
COVID level, because now you don't care that I got locks. All you care about is making sure I'm online, I'm emailing back when I'm supposed to. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't
yeah.
matter what my hair look like. I'm at home.
Yeah.
So
Wow. So would you say in some ways that there is no game now, or if so, are there like multiple games? How would you define the game now? You know what I'm saying? Like before, it was very identifiable. You kind of
mhm,
knew who the hierarchy was. You knew what they looked like. You knew kind of how they communicated with each other. You understood
mhm,
who was on the outside of that. But now, as you say, people might be in different countries. You may not be able to actually see the person. So it's a whole new dynamic as far as culture goes. So what is the new corporate culture?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that there is still obviously a game. You still have to politic. And some of that gets a little harder where on one end, you might feel like people are more accessible, but on the other end, again, you're not seeing them in the cafeteria, in the hallway or by the water cooler. And so building that relationship with someone who can then, advocate and speak your name in rooms that you're not in, building that relationship gets a little bit more difficult because you are in a different type of environment. And so some of those softer skills you still need to be mindful of. You can still read the room, but just the room is virtual now. You just got to pay attention to an email thread or how a meeting is conducted, or just different other kind of softer skills that you might not pick up on. Communication, that as a competency, more people are going to pay attention to that because that's all that they have to go on your written and verbal communication. And then, some of those, yeah, I feel like the tactics, there is still a game. How you play it is a little bit different, but yeah, I think you can be successful if you just tighten up on some softer skills like communication. You still got to be able to work with a team. You still got to show up as a decision maker, as someone who can influence and persuade. But the way you do that just looks different.
So you kind of touched on it a bit, but I just want to ask it very directly. Has it gotten easier for a Black woman in the corporate world?
Has it gotten easier? I wouldn't go so far because it was pretty darn hard. I mean, the bar was low. The bar was very, very, very low.
Low, low, low,
Yeah,
low.
so I mean, easier is relative to where the bar. It was just so deep down in the gutter that being better than that is a win. But
Okay, okay. Let me take it. Let me say it a different way. Has it gotten easier for women in the corporate world? And I'm saying that specifically because I know women had a lot of fights with the corporate structure, the patriarchy that kind of existed, being able to break those walls down, being able to shine, not being sexualized, not being minimized because they are a woman and things of that nature that go through womanly things and all of that. Do you feel like this new virtual world has made it a bit easier for a woman to excel, or is it pretty much just the same?
to accept, I don't know that it'll. I will say easier. I don't know that I would say easier. I there are. It's easier to yeah, some of those things that you talked about, not being worried about being sexualized, or you know someone minimizing you. But I still see it happen in virtual situations where women get talked over, or their
Mm.
ideas are discounted at a meeting, or they'll say something and people will just basically act like everybody's on mute, nobody's saying anything, and won't acknowledge them. So I've seen that happen. I've also, one of the things we talked about yesterday was how people change over time. So you might be a woman that's fighting the power, and then you become VP of communications, and all of a sudden you're subscribing to that same patriarchy because it's helping you move within that circle and
Right.
be successful in that circle. And so where you used to care about some of those things. And so when you think about, is it easier? It may have gotten that person there. Did she make it easier for other people? Probably not. In some instances. And so unfortunately, I see that more often than I'd like to in women leaders reach a certain level and feel like they then have to be the middle-aged white guy jerk who is, subscribing to the system of patriarchy because they want to keep their position.
And so, since you've seen it kind of both sides, pre and post,
Yeah.
how would you speak to that woman that's out there now that's looking to, elevate to that position one day to get that C-suite role in the company, and
Mhm.
you know that I've seen you, sister, I've
Mhm.
seen you get there, and you kind of might change. Is there any general advice that you would want to give that person so that maybe they do hold to their values a little tighter?
Yeah, one of the things I would say has always kept me grounded. One, I feel like when you in community and doing community work, you see such real, authentic experiences in the world that it's a constant reminder that yes,
Uh,
you VP is such and such company, but it's people out here really could use or benefit from, your service in some type of way. And so to a woman who I would give that advice to would just keep a mentee, keep someone who you want to consistently reach back and help and build a relationship with and see them grow and blossom and see them become, because it keeps your perspective of where you came from and who you were. And so when you get to a level of COO, you remember this young girl whose career you also helped grow, and she's a mid-level manager now. But you keep perspective on what that experience is really like,
yeah.
and also having a mentee relationship. They're talking to you about their struggles as they climb, and
Yeah.
they might be talking to their little sister who's in college and the struggles that they are having as they climb. And so it keeps you remembering that that doesn't go away because you got there. It's
Mm,
because that mentee, that person that you're consulting and helping and building a relationship with, they going through it right now today like you were 10 years ago. And so
yeah.
what can you do? What now you need to think about action. Now you need to think about how you can really be of service. And so if I would say, if I was advising somebody, make sure you keep a mentor and keep a mentee.
Paying it forward. I like that. Do you have a mentee currently?
I don't have I have two that I keep in touch with that I've kept in touch with over the years. I wouldn't say I'm in an active relationship where like I'm mentoring them,
Uh,
but we reach out, we go have lunch and we kind of talk about things. A lot of it is just personal stuff they're navigating while they navigate the work stuff that I keep in touch with. It not as often as I like, but yeah. Yeah.
okay. I know we're getting close to the event. You know what I mean? We're at least 24 hours closer than we were the last time we spoke.
Yes. Yes.
how how are things going as we get a little closer? You get nervous. How do you get during game time?
Yeah, anxious, really anxious. Just wanting everything to go right. I am nervous just because I just got a lot of traveling coming up, and so there's some things I won't be here to do as I gear up for the workshop, and so I'll need to kind of navigate some of that. But I think let me tell you how God worked, because I told you yesterday, how much money this costed me and how much out of pocket. But I wanted to be sure, one of the things that I also mentioned yesterday is this information isn't always accessible to the people who need it. And we have such great sponsors, who are in business banking, personal banking, home loan officer, people who help entrepreneurs save money, budget, all that stuff. They will be in the building, and so I wanted to be sure that this was accessible for people who might not otherwise have access to this information. So this young lady reached out. I told you a bunch of friends have been donating tickets, and I had some free tickets. I had some tickets, some donated tickets, but they went pretty quickly. I made a Facebook status. They were gone. This young
Oh,
lady reached out yesterday, and she was like, "Hey, do you still have any free tickets? Me and my girlfriend want to go. We're about to start a business. We could really use this information. I want to get better about my money. We're moving in together." And they were just, and I said, "Hey, what I can do?" I said, "The free tickets are gone, but I'll give you a discount. I'll give you like two tickets at half the cost, right?" And she said, "Man, And I gave her a special promo code. It was her name and everything. And she was like, "Man, I'm so thankful, but I just had to pay $500 for a surgery I had, and I
Mhm.
really just don't have it. But
Yeah.
I try to catch it next time." And this is what this work is for her, for what she wants to do. I mean, literally, people who do not have access who want to be in the room. And I
Yeah.
said, you know what? And I'm in the hole already because I done gave away quite a few free tickets. I'm in the hole already. Okay. I said, you know what? You go online, use this promo code, you'll get 2 free tickets. She's like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And
Wow.
so, that was
Wow.
that. Didn't think nothing of it.
Yeah.
Cousin, check my email 30 minutes later, and a mortgage company offered to sponsor for $500.
Come on now. Come
Come on!
on now.
Come
Come
on,
on now.
God! Come
Come on
on,
now.
God!
Wow.
And so I remember
Wow.
this when God has an assignment on your life, when He has
Mm,
given you purpose,
mm.
and you got to remember, like, come on, God, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Because I work every day, 9 to 5. I got a real job. I got bills.
Wow.
Who I don't have it, right?
Yeah.
But some way it's coming together.
Yeah.
And when your heart is pure and you like, okay, I'm just gonna walk in faith. You want me to just give free tickets away, God? All right, I'm giving free tickets away. And He said, remember, I got you.
I
Remember,
got
I
you.
got you.
I got you. That is
30
beautiful.
minutes later. You don't
That is
usually
beautiful.
happen that quick, huh? You don't be happening that
Right. 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 Oh my
So yeah,
goodness.
so when I'm excited because I know this event is anointed, I know it's supposed to
Mm,
happen, even though I'm
absolutely.
exhausted, even though I'm broke, even though even all the things. I know that this
You
is
know,
going to bless somebody.
and that'll energize you.
Mhm.
That'll energize you because I'm pretty sure, as exhausted as you are, even that little moment
Yeah.
like reinvigorated something. Even for a short moment in time, it was like you forgot all about
Yeah. Yeah.
all the other stuff that you've had to do with. It's like, woo, okay, okay,
Mhm.
God, keep working,
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
working on all of this through me. I like it.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
no,
coming
that's
up. And one of the things I was reading an update on Elon Musk. One of the things I learned in the financial services industry was the wealth disparity. When you think about Elon Musk and how much money he has, the wealth disparity in this country is ginormous. We can't even wrap our heads around the fact that this man has billions with an S. You go how many? Let me put this in. People think, and we can't fathom how much money that is. We ain't never seen it. $1 million. Let's see, if you have $100 bills and you stack up a million, up to $1 million in that, it's 3 feet, about the size of a chair. You stack $1 billion and $100 bills, it is still a mile higher than the world's tallest building. That is how much $1 million and a billion is. And we're down here somewhere. We
and if
thousandaires.
I was to go and play Jenga with his stack of money and just pull one little hundred out, he got a problem with it. Come on,
And
come
so
on.
the wealth, and so you want to, okay, so why is that? And then you think about the access, the understanding of money. It's a mindset thing. It's just a because we think about it in dollars and cents, but it's a mindset. We needed money to survive. Now, some of us did come from money and we had wealth and our families owned land and all of that. I ain't saying we all came up broken, homeless, and all that, because there's a diversity of richness in the Black experience. But over time, systemically, the world has taken pieces of that along the way through Jim Crow, redline, and housing discrimination, all, the
Or
crack the
just
coke
straight up coming in and burning it up.
and burning it up. Okay.
I
Massacres.
can't I can't find a loophole. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
burn it up.
Just don't burn it up, okay? So they've taken pieces of that wealth. We needed it to survive. People in other cultures needed, it was something that they made, it was something that worked for them. They were entitled to it. Of course I would have money. That is how I established myself as a, as a landowner who can vote, as an upstanding member of the community. I have authority because I'm entitled. They have a different understanding of what money is and what we needed it to be able to eat, okay? So
Yeah.
when we grow up with a survival mindset about money, we treat it as like either we hoard it, we just hold on to it, put it underneath the mattress because we're scared somebody gonna take it away from us, or we just do what we can, and we don't necessarily, we need to survive right now. We don't have anything to leave. I need to
Yeah.
just be sure we can bury granddaddy. We ain't got no whole huge life insurance policy, okay? Because that means you got to pay more a month on it, and we ain't got it like that. So
Yeah.
when you think
Or
about,
or the third one, or we're wasteful with it
mm-hmm,
and we
yeah,
purchase tons of
yeah,
liabilities, and
mm-hmm,
we are the
yeah.
highest spender in
Mm-hmm.
the brands and the
Because
clothing and fashion.
we're chasing a survival tactic of, I need to look like that to establish myself, because I wasn't born with, I need to establish myself as an
Right.
upstanding man. And so you have this persona of what you're trying to be, and you need money to get there. And
Yeah.
yeah, so we just have a different understanding. I learned through that in working in financial services. That's ground zero. I mean, your background and your understanding of money is ground zero. And some
True.
folks,
True.
and not to everybody who has an investment account is a millionaire, but they grew up understanding that you got to leave some, you got to put something away. And we just didn't have a whole lot to put away. And so
Right.
there were no life. When you think about how people leverage life insurance, when somebody died, it ain't just the house. It's you, when you got a big life insurance policy, somebody going to college, a couple people going to college on that. No,
So true.
what that mean? No student loan debt in the future. I ain't got to worry about that when I'm trying to qualify for a house when I'm 30. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
see the residual aspect of like, we just trying to bear granddaddy. Remember, we got $25,000 life insurance policy. That's about it. But these folks got 100, $200,000, $300,000 because they, on, even if they had no assets to protect, they
Mm.
used it as a vehicle to build
Yes.
wealth. And we didn't have that understanding of how to use some of this stuff out in the world that we didn't even know existed as
True.
vehicles to build wealth. We just
True.
didn't know. We didn't have access to that information. And
And even
so,
when we and even when we did, we had um, our generation right before us, they had less than us. So then they taught us fear.
they
Don't be
did.
listening to them about that. Don't be
Mhm,
no, don't put your money in that. Oh, that's probably some kind of scheme. That's probably no, that
mhm,
ain't gonna work. We got fed that, and so now we walk around skeptical of everything.
mhm, mhm,
Like,
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
that might work for you. It ain't gonna work for me. That might
Yeah,
work for them. It ain't gonna work for us.
yeah, and that's the thing. We were taught a part of that fear, because if it ain't real and tangible, we were taught money is to be earned. If you didn't go to work and clock in and make that check and go cash that check at the bank, and then you got cold hard cash in your hand, then it's nothing. It's just a figment of imagination. We talking about the stock market.
Right.
Now, other people understood that money could be made. You can earn it and you can make it. Meaning, I don't go nowhere, and it's doing some stuff for me and doubling itself over. And so they started to invest in bonds and things like that. And we'll get somebody a $20 bond for their birthday gift. We buy when they 1 years old, go cash it in when you're 18. It's worth 25 now. So but we didn't but we did not really understand the stock market and
Yeah.
401ks and how to leverage. You can, instead of refinancing your house or doing some of these other things, like you could take a loan out on your 401k and go put a down payment out on your house and then use it. Like, we didn't know how to move money around in different assets as well, to because people, other folks get credit. We were so scared of credit. Don't put nothing on no credit card if you ain't got cash to pay for it.
Right.
But they leverage credit every day. They leverage credit to make more money,
Every
and we
day.
didn't know.
We didn't. And A lot of people, for a while now, there's been a movement of trying to stop talking about slavery, like
Mm.
stop blaming slavery. But so many issues date back to slavery, and
Mhm.
I don't feel like
Pretty much all of them.
right, right. I don't feel like many people are as sensitive as they should be to understanding the black existence in America and what slavery did. But even if you just take that little piece about money, you got to remember we came out of our first people here watched money be traded to sell us. That's
Mhm.
already creating a certain idea about money. It's already evil now to you. It already is a certain thing. You were born into this. Oh yeah, I'll buy him, and you see money, 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 and so the next thing you know, by the time we get free, and like you said, now we have to survive. So now what are we doing? We only have a couple of skills, and most of them have to do with labor.
Yeah.
So we're out doing labor to try to get money. And so money started out as this evil thing that is obviously like almost anti-life to us,
Mhm.
anti-freedom to us.
Mhm.
It's suppressive to us. And then later on, it's just something that I have to do, possibly a demeaning job, cleaning
Mhm.
up after somebody, just so I
Mhm.
can get enough of it to live at a poverty level.
Yeah.
So our
And
whole view of money is completely different.
in 42, I get so angry about, people aspiring to be billionaires because there are 42 million people living in poverty. 42 in the one of the wealthiest countries in the world. 42 million people are living in poverty, and the our poverty line is real low. So imagine all those people, and these some of these people go to work every day.
Yeah,
That's the crazy part about it.
right.
Everybody has this aspect of like they're so far removed from poor people. And you really aren't. You much further removed from the 1% and the 5% and the 10% and the
Absolutely.
20% of the country than you are because you're about two, three, four paychecks away from being
Right.
that
One
person.
incident. Most people, one incident, one car incident, one I
Yeah.
didn't have insurance, burnt up the kitchen incident, like one situation away from being
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. And so to your point about like the slavery, the connection of slavery, when you think about historically what has kept us from wealth, what have like you said it, they burning up your land. There go your money, right? But your family's legacy is out the door. The land your granddaddy tilled and toiled is out the door. They burnt it up. Then you try to go get some, a loan. They deny you because you don't got no credit because they just burnt up your land. So you can't. So now you're renting, you're sharecropping, doing what you can, and they scheming and scamming and taking everything off the top. So you can't save nothing. You just
Right.
literally living off. And so now your kids can't go to college. They got to work the land and sharecrop with you. So that's two, three more generations that's working the land because there are no other options, like you said. Then
Yeah.
somebody break free. Somebody get all right, baby. We're gonna pull some money. The church gonna give a scholarship. We're gonna pull some money
Mm,
together. You going to college, baby.
mm,
And this person go to college, and they try to get. First of all, they discriminated against in the classroom. The professors because they ain't supposed to be there. You black. What you doing? You ain't because they harassed and discriminated against, and they try and they get it. They get that degree. They do what they can. Now they got an interview with a beautiful black name on the resume. Now you
mm.
just it's all the way it's so hard. And
Yeah.
you think about systemically when you think about redlining and housing discrimination and even equal pay, like we talked about last time, we still ain't making a whole
Mm,
dollar compared to the white man. You know what I mean? Black men make less than that, white women make less than that, black women make less than that, Hispanic women make less than, and it just keep on going down. And so
yeah.
we ain't even making a whole dollar yet, and it's 2023. So you think about the disparity, you can't even get to a place where you feel like you're running the same race, you playing the same game because systemically the odds are against you. But when you learn what that game is, when you learn that there are tactics that you can play along the way, you can educate yourself, use your resources, figure out how to move some money around, what's happening in your community so you can participate in some of these conversations, and don't be intimidated by money. Don't be intimidated by the topic. And also share about, your family, because there may be some trauma with money. Somebody got robbed, somebody, betrayed somebody, or whatever the trauma might be in your family regarding money. But I think that there's ways that ultimately you can get over all of that and do what God put you on this earth to do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's another angle of looking at the disparity and why it's so great. I mean, there's the obvious that we've just kind of talked about, but if you did want to focus on some potential optimism in those numbers, is to also say that America allows for such a high ceiling. You know, there are
Mhm.
other countries that even the more well to do, because of the opportunities allowed in their specific country or region, they just might not be as high as what they are here. And so you're going to get an even greater differential out of those two numbers
Mhm.
um, when you have a ceiling that's so high. So that at
Mhm.
least says something that it's out there, you know, and maybe like you're saying, challenging, and you need to be tactful of arriving there. But the availability of it is this. But you shine a light on something indirectly by saying by us stating all of the headway that they've had in this race, and how we're kind of just getting there and still realizing that there are grandfathered in systemic structures that keep us outside the room. So now my question is, what are your feelings on the difference of corporate life versus entrepreneurial life? A life where you need to play the game in it, that where you know someone else is always going to be a little bit further ahead, right? Even when you play the game well, even when you find yourself in that room, likely either somebody else in the room has a higher title than you, or somebody else owns the room and they let you be in there and run the company, or going down the entrepreneurial road that might allow you to own and run everything your way, but may not have the type of depth or grandfathered in backing or market share or respect level, whatever you, however you want to look at it, that that corporation life might have given you. Did you freeze? It looked like you froze. Deep. Um, okay, there she go. All right. Are
Am
you
I
there?
frozen?
Okay,
Yeah.
no, you back, you back.
Now while we restore the connection. Am I restored?
You are restored. Did you hear my question or no?
I did hear your question. You froze for me, so but I did hear your question, I think.
Okay.
Which is you asked me about entrepreneurship and corporate. So I will say, I know as an entrepreneur, as a former entrepreneur, and friends and family who I know are entrepreneurs, there's still a game at play. And I'll give you an example at the end of one that has systemic issues tied to it as well. I don't know that some of the experiences that we have as Black Americans are just specific to corporate. I think that there are some that we deal with even as entrepreneurs. And the example that I would give you is a friend of mine wanted to open up the first Nigerian restaurant in downtown St. Louis.
Hmm.
And in order to open up his restaurant, you got to get, first of all, the buy in of the other business owners in the community to
Right.
get the permits and all that other stuff, especially if you want to have a liquor license.
True.
And there were, active things at play to keep him from being approved for the permits that he needed to open up his business, to keep him from getting the signatures he get it. I mean, it was a really a full-on assault. And it got so far as to when he was remodeling his business, people would come in and be stealing materials that
Hmm.
the contractors had left, in there, and so costing him money. And
Yeah.
so I will say, in instances like that, there are there's still there's still something hurdles against you. And I don't know, even for, you think about algorithms on social media, even if you're doing purely digital, I mean, there could be things, somebody could flag one of your posts, and now nobody sees your advertisements, and nobody sees it. You ain't getting no likes, comments, subscribes, nothing. And so
Yeah.
you even build your brand, because there's a full-on assault that way. So I think that there are, while there may not be the politicking that you navigate within corporate, where you feel like someone, you can see it right in front of you that they got a leg up, I do think even in an entrepreneur space, regardless of industry, there may be all still systemic things that exist that can keep you and your business from thriving too. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. That makes sense. Um, earlier you brought up, or you kind of said a few times about having access to information, and that's something that we haven't really had. Looking back at our history here, and it's getting better. You know what I mean? The information age. A lot of us actually starting to occupy those spaces. And be in those rooms to hear that information and then divulging that information to others and paying it forward. I think that has been a beautiful thing. So now I ask you, you brought up some financial secrets that you might have gotten being in those rooms, and that you would like to bless us with. So would love to know, for myself, the entire Pot is Good community. What financial secrets can you share that you've learned, Dr.
first
Nikki?
of all, I don't know that I said secrets. So hold
You
on.
said it. You said it. I watched it. I watched it.
Um, what I will say is, so yeah, so some of the things that I learned working in financial services, I kind of sprinkled a little bit of it in when you talked about life insurance and leveraging that to build your assets and wealth portfolio. Also, the different types of life insurance too, so you can have, um, oh my God,
Like diversify
yeah. And then
investments.
so you can take loans against them, so if you need to pay for health insurance and things like that. Also, with health insurance, HSAs, and building money within those accounts for tax deductions, that sort of thing, using your FSA and those sorts of things. Being a business owner, and how much stuff you can deduct off your taxes, and how much stuff that those larger companies, maybe mid to larger size companies, use as leverage to gain additional assets. um Leaving a will, we don't like to talk about it, but we don't. And then everybody's fighting over stuff, and then they end up just selling it because they don't want to deal with it anymore. Who gonna take the house, and who gonna do this, and who gonna do that? And we just have so much conflict in our families when somebody died because nobody left the will. so, that we
Well, before you go to the next one, I just want to plug one of the previous guests very recently, my man David Simmons, who came on, and he created what he calls the Comfort Action Plan.
oh wow.
Okay. The Comfort Action Plan is designed exactly for that. It's life planning or estate planning, that basically it allows you to put in things like power of attorney, or who does
Mhm.
your will, and I mean all the way down to like usernames and passwords on your devices, PIN numbers. If you have a safety deposit box where the keys are, all kinds of things. It goes through, and it does it in a kind of a fun way. I hate to use that term, but he tries to do it in a fun way so that it doesn't have that stench of dealing with afterlife planning that this can have, and that, like you were just saying, we all kind of stay away from. And then he has this journal that the person would do, kind of like basically, obviously, before leaving this life, but it talks about them putting in, like
Oh
writing down
wow.
things in life, dreams, their philosophy, their achievements, what their inspirations were, like a whole nother level of kind of paying it forward and knowing a little bit about your history and all of those things. And so I just wanted to put that out there. It's called My CAP Plan. It's the Comfort Action Plan by David Simmons. It's really, really good. So
That's
just want to shout
beautiful.
out.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yep, exactly that kind of stuff. That's a beautiful resource to help guide some of these conversations.
Yeah.
Another thing, that was really interesting that I was learning was women starting to take more control over their finances and thinking about their own financial portfolio. So, from a woman's perspective, I don't know how many people know this, but women really couldn't even get a bank account or a credit card until the 1970s on their own,
That's a fact.
without
Without a
they
husband.
but without a husband.
Without a
And so,
husband. Yeah.
so much we didn't have a separate savings account or something in case something went down. We if that man left with his second family, mama was doing what she cleaning houses and scrubbing toilet, do what she had to do to feed the kids. There
Yeah.
was no savings account. She couldn't even go to the bank and open one. They wouldn't even have a conversation with her until
Yeah.
1972. And
Yeah.
so when you think about women's understanding of money and how it was a means of survival, I mean, even when we got to the point of now women can open up bank accounts and credit cards and all that, it wasn't for black women. We were still at work. We were still doing we had it wasn't for black women. And so we would still get denied at the banks. And we when it came to opening up businesses and getting loans and things like that, these other folks, they was divorcing their husbands because now I don't need you. You can take you and your second family and go somewhere. And so now I don't need you, and I'm divorcing you, taking half of your money and going to open up me a business. And they will start their legacy that way. Meanwhile, we ain't nobody divorcing nobody and getting half of nothing. Okay, you gonna give me half your check, and you going about your business down the street, but you need to bring some money in this. So, and we wasn't, there was no, divorce settlement. I'm taking half of them, start me a business.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah.
we didn't even have that leg up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you think about kind of how we even diverged from that experience as black
True.
women. And so when women, one of the things that I was learning working in investments was like, that even mindset led you down a whole nother track of like, do you have money and what can you do with it? What are the possibilities available to you? And another thing that I would, I'm this is controversial, but there has been a movement of black women getting a whole lot of education, and now they're the six-figure breadwinners in some of these households. Now, black women have been going to get some degrees and get some really good jobs, and so
Shout out to my wife. Shout out to my wife. She did that. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead,
there
wife.
you go,
Go
wife.
ahead, Mr. California.
And so, and our generation being millennials are getting married later than our previous generations. And
Yeah.
so these women are building their own lives. They're going to buy their house. They're not really waiting until they get married sometimes anymore.
Mm.
They have cars now. They have businesses by the time they're 35. They got 2, 3, 4 businesses, LLCs, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and they have a home now and all these assets now. Some of them like, I might need to give me a prenup, and that's okay. That is all right. I am no prenup, okay?
But is it okay? But is it?
I
But is
want
it okay?
I'll make this
Is
very
it?
clear. I know this is very controversial, but I am all about people having conversations about money, whatever that means for them, and setting themselves up in a position that is going to be advantageous for everybody involved. You can set up a prenup to where while we like each other. Now listen, people
All
feel
right, let's talk. Let's talk. Take the gloves off. Let's talk.
because I would say this, people feel like, well, you starting a conversation about divorce and splitting up assets and other. All right, fine. That's fine. Statistically, 50% of y'all gonna get divorced. Okay, let's just and so I got friends. I'm 34 years old. I got friends that's already divorced. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is don't be afraid. If you know you came into this situation with something and this don't work out, I would just want to say writing up an agreement to say, hey baby, if this don't work out, you got your stuff going on. I'm not gonna take nothing from you. And I got my stuff going on. You ain't gonna take nothing from me, and we gonna be cool. And you can set it however you want to word it, set it up so where it work both y'all. That's fine. But I'm pro prenup, especially
See,
if you're a woman.
here's the issue. Here's the issue. Let me speak for y'all, man. I know y'all out there. I know y'all
What's
like,
the
yeah. Because see, men, because we are very rational creatures, I do think that a man could accept that conversation a little differently. I do think that if I was talking to somebody, let's say, I run up on Riri, right? ASAP. Sorry, just for conversational purposes. Let's say Riri is like, "Oh, I want to be with you," right? So I want to love
oh
you. Okay, cool, right? Let's just say, I don't know how she sounds. I want to be with you, Kashmir, right? And I'm like, and I'm like, cool, that's what's up. And then she's like, but I have a lot of things going on, and I'd like to, to prenup, right? For me, I'm like, well, that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you got all this. Like you're gonna get more. Not only do you have way more than me now, because of who you are, you're gonna continue to get more.
mm-hmm,
There's no reason that I should partake in that, right?
mm-hmm,
I can see that. However, let's say Diddy wants to marry Erica. Erica, well, I don't know. My wife a little different. Let's just say he wants to marry the random girl on the block, right? That girl she understands that that's Diddy. Yeah, she understands that he had multi millions, maybe even billions, including assets, way before they met. But if she was in his life during his next two albums, and when he relaunched Sean John skincare, whatever, she gonna be like, I gave you love and support during that time. I should be owed a piece of all of the everything because I provided a world around you that allowed you to think and create freely. And that is literally
I'm
a
telling
woman viewpoint. So I'm just
you, okay.
saying it ain't fair going into it because one person is gonna be like, yeah, I'm good with that. Other person, it's really we gotta really be tactful how we present it, when we present it, the tone, take you out to dinner before. Like it's gotta be a whole world that we create around the prenup conversation. Y'all just throw it out in the middle of watching TV. By the way, before we get married, want a prenup. All right, whatever. Turn the game up. Quiet. I'm
Yeah,
just saying. I'm just saying.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Uh, it's still a conversation that need to be had. You ain't wrong about how it might go down.
Yeah, and let me say, I'm not trying to generalize all men and women. I'm pretty sure there's some women that might be 100% fine with it either way that the conversation goes, and there could be some men that are more in their emotions and feelings about it either way that it goes. So I'm not trying to generalize everybody. I'm just saying you want to talk statistics, 50%. I'm saying more than 50% of women most likely are gonna have an issue with that conversation.
Yeah.
That's it. And men, I'm gonna be honest, we weak when it comes to women. You know what I mean? Once, especially if we trying to get at her and she start batting those eyelashes, and it just sounds
Mhm.
like you're already saying that we're gonna. I mean, I don't know. Like, we're gonna be like, all right. Well, just
You know
just
what's be funny
promise
though?
me,
Sometimes folks be trying to have that conversation. Yeah, baby, you gonna sign a prenup? Boy, you got $2,000 in your bank account. Why did you sign a prenup? You
yeah,
need
yeah.
your
But it's my $2,000. Okay? I worked
yeah,
hard, but
fine, I'll sign it.
I had to work like 6 12-hour shifts to get that
Right.
2,000.
Bless his heart. Bless his heart.
Oh man, but I do understand what you're saying though, and it definitely are. We are moving in that direction because you're right. Women are doing amazing. They are making a significant amount of money with degrees and without.
And
Some
without
just starting up great businesses. I got friends whose wives are the breadwinners because they have some great business idea, and boom, they've been in six figures since year one, of this new
Mhm.
business venture, and the man is still like he's doing his thing, but he's not smooth sailing like she is, and then they have to have that understanding of how we work this thing out. It ain't the traditional method of things, but it still can work. All of this business and financial and corporate and gamesmanship and tactics conversations has me wondering, along with the puppy that's right with you, what does Dr. Nikki Smith do to disconnect from all of this, to unwind, for hobbies, to relax? I see one. I see one right there. What else? Beautiful dog, by the way.
Thank you.
What do you do when it's time to shut the corporate life and all the analytics down, and I just need some me time?
I go to Greece for 2 weeks.
Hey,
Or I go to Bali, or I go to Africa.
I was gonna say a light flex. That was a heavy flex right there. That was a heavy flex right. If you was closer, I have to hold your collar. I have to hold your collar up on that one. That was
Get down, cat. Get down. Yeah, I as you know, I got stamps on my passport. So
hey. New one. I
I,
need a new passport.
yeah, I work pretty hard to go and do what travel the way I want to, and
Yeah.
very blessed in that I've seen some amazing parts of the world and got some amazing experiences. So those are planned unwinds on a day to day. Um, I mean, let's see, my auntie's
Come on.
still on here. Let's
Come
see, my
on.
aunt. She's still watching. I know grandmother be looking. I'm just kidding. No, I listen to what really helps me, like lo-fi hip hop beats. Like I just
Mm,
to a meditation zone and just listen to some lo-fi and
yeah.
read a good book. I'm reading a really, really dope book right now. My auntie's still on here, so I probably can't tell
Okay.
you what it is. But but read. Um yeah, and I watch silly TV, um, like cartoons like Bob's
Mm.
Burgers. And that's
I
like my
love Bob's Burger.
I love Bob's. I was just watching it right before this. Uh,
Hold
other
on. Favorite character.
um Louise.
Louise.
Yeah, she's
Mine
a
changes, but I think recently I'm leaning towards Gene. Gene is the king of one-liners. I love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what? Teddy is really good at one. Like he's really
Yes.
funny. But um, and so yeah, I watch and plus I have my nephew Adea, so we get to playing Legos and stuff all the time.
Right.
Taking care of him is like a really cool thing to be able to do, and just see him
Yeah.
grow and blossom, and it's like I feel like a kid. I get to play with
Yeah.
somebody. So
That's awesome. All right. So last question before we conclude, because I think a lot of people struggle with this, and listening to your lifestyle, I would assume that maybe it's a struggle for you as well. But living in such a pressurized corporate world, and also having organizations that you lead and head up and responsible for teams and planning and so many different facets of your business life, when you finally do unplug, how successful are you at being present? Or does your mind constantly stray back in to dealing with the problems, dealing with the thinking about all the things? Or are you able to really get away from it and focus on those Legos?
um it's really hard to do when I'm at home.
Hmm.
Because I work from home. And
Mm.
so separating work and home life is difficult because while a day is in the tub playing, with his Transformers, I'm checking an email real quick or
Yeah,
I'm doing something, and so it's difficult. It's easier to do when I travel because I don't take my work laptop. Um,
smart.
so, yeah, so it's easy for me to unplug when I'm gone. Um, but yeah, I think also getting outside more. So, one of the things I wanted to be able to do is just be able to get more fresh air. And I started to notice that I wasn't like literally leaving my house for a long time, for several days. And so, yeah, but I walk Kane around the neighborhood every day. I mean, we go, but now we're doing 3 walks a day, so I can go on
That
my
helps.
like
Yeah.
at noon. I block my calendar from noon to 1, and
Hmm.
I go outside, and that helps me refocus on something else instead of just thinking. I'm like very intentional about taking my lunch break.
Yeah.
Um, and taking time to go get some air and go get some fresh air, because when I discipline and train my mind to even unplug for just an hour, it helps in those other situations where I really feel like I need to be present. I need to not be thinking about work, and I'm trying to do better at that too, because Jeff thinks I work a lot. Like I literally like am in front of my laptop, either I'm working on something for the business or I'm working on work stuff. So I'm trying to also make sure we have our dates and date nights, and I cook dinner and we eat at the table, and like all those
Yeah.
things too, as well. So
Yeah. And if he says it, it's true. It's
yeah,
true. It's true.
yeah,
Because we you and I are very similar, and Erica tells me that like you always working, and sometimes I don't notice it because it doesn't always feel like work. And so
yeah,
because of that, yeah, you can. I just kind of dip, and I'm pretty sure you too. Like you can dip in and out of it so often throughout the day, and to you it just kind of feels like, oh no, I had that thought. Oh no, I'll write down that idea. Oh no, check
hmm
this thing. And to the person on the outside, it's like, man, you've been on this all day. To you, it's like, not really. I ain't really did nothing.
hmm
So
hmm
I do
Yeah,
understand.
he challenged me because I also work on the weekends. Like I'm in
Mhm.
front of my laptop all the time. So he
Yeah.
was like, we challenged me to not open my laptop on Saturday, and I did good. I did not open my laptop. I
Look
did
at
not
that.
even open my laptop all weekend until I had to be on this call with you yesterday.
Look
So
at you. Very good. Well played, Jeff. Well played. All right, little cuz, I appreciate you. Great conversation. Do you feel vindicated? Do you
yes,
feel like
yes,
that's all I wanted? There it is. We good. We good
yeah,
now.
we good.
All right, I appreciate you. Good luck with the event. I know it's going to be amazing. I pray that people are blessed through it and from it. And keep doing the great work. You out there. You out there.
Thank
I'm
you,
very proud of you.
thank you. Love you, cousin. Have a
All right,
good
love you
one.
too. Okay, bye bye. All right, you guys, that's episode 49 of the Pod is Good podcast. I hope you enjoyed that. That was incredible. Great information, great conversation around business. If anybody is moving forward in their business life or going through different struggles or feeling like they're the only ones dealing with having to play this game, having to walk this line that no one else does, trust me, you're not alone. A lot of us deal with it. Black people, brown people, a lot of people that are the minority. Sometimes we might even be the majority of the company, but we might be the minority in the upper echelon and that C-suite and that, you know what I'm talking about. And so we feel away sometimes. So just know, be encouraged. There is a path. You will overcome. You will get where you are trying to get. You just got to persevere. Figure out that game. Figure out how to play it. Figure out how you get the chips stacked more in your favor, keep pushing those buttons. You'll get there. That's all I got for y'all today. Continue to watch. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. At least one of them. Give me that. Give me that. We working hard over here, okay? We working hard just for y'all. I appreciate y'all. Everyone that watches from here going forward, we appreciate you greatly. In all that you do, and joining into the chat is incredible. Even the emails that we get about the show, the ideas, the suggestions, love all of it. Please keep it coming. It keeps us moving. Until next time, I am Cashmere, California. This is the Notorious PIG. Oh, I forgot to do it with Nikki. I'm going to do it next time. Pod is good. And all the time, peace out.